Hi, I'm Andy Chanley from 88.5 FM, and you have tuned in to one of our Here at Home interviews today, welcoming in Moorea Masa. How are you, Moorea?
I'm good. I'm good.
And
Yeah.
am I saying that right? Is it Moorea or is it Moorea, as they say in French Polynesian?
Oh yeah, that's sweet. No, it's Maria. Yeah.
Moorea. Okay.
My dad, Morea.
There's no apostrophe in there. All right.
Yeah.
Well, great to meet you. Moorea is going to be playing on May 15th at the B of A Performing Arts Center in Thousand Oaks. She has an EP out called Heart in the Wild Side A. You can buy wherever you buy records. You're from Portland originally, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. But you've since become a Southern Californian.
Yeah. Just moved to LA about a year and a half ago.
Okay, so you're my friend and neighbor.
Yeah.
That's great. But tell me though, before we move on, tell me about Portland, and the real Portland, in your opinion, not the Fred Armisen Portlandia Portland. I've been told I've never been, but I've been told it's a great place, a fertile place for artists to grow. What's your
Yeah.
experience?
Portland is amazing. I say it's an incredibly nurturing place. So you can do anything you want in Portland, whatever passion or hobby that you have, you can go full in Portland and get real nerdy about it. I think for artists, yeah, it was a beautiful place to create this record. So I actually have side A and side B out of Heart in the Wild, and a lot of the creation was done there. And then actually a lot of the making of the album was done in LA. Um, but yeah, it's you can live pretty cheaply. The food is delicious. There's incredible nature everywhere. Um, and yeah, I would say that in LA, there's so much creativity, if I'm comparing the two, so much creativity, but there's like definitely more of like a hustle business focus. And Portland doesn't have that. So I think it creates a lot of really pure art because people aren't thinking about, almost to their detriment, they're not thinking about how am I going to promote this or how am I going to put it out.
Get this down. There are superficial people in LA. Made note of it.
You
Made a
know
note
what?
of it.
I will say I have found incredible community in LA that is doing real, authentic art and crushing the business side of things. So they do exist, and I have been pleasantly surprised with that in LA. I just would say that Portland has like zero of that.
Yeah. Well, my hat's off to anybody that can just subsist in Los Angeles, no matter what their vocation is. That's an achievement in itself. Um, Also, Portland, a community of pretty globally minded people.
Yes.
Well documented in 2020 with the being the epicenter of demonstrations after the police murder of George Floyd. Tell me how that sort of thing intersected your life as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. So yeah, yes, Portland has always been a really progressive place, definitely. It's also a very white place, so that is an interesting dynamic, I think, to navigate. Um, of being incredibly progressive, also incredibly white. But yeah, in during the protests, I was super involved when after George Floyd was murdered. It took a less of a front line
Oh no.
helping feed um, protesters and organizers and community members. Um, yeah, I was working with restaurants to feed folks for a good like 2 straight months because protests were going very solidly for 3 months in Portland, and it was really powerful, um, as it was everywhere. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
there's so much I could say about that. I don't know how far you want me to go into it, but Portland is a really beautiful place with how progressive it is, and it can also feel like a bubble of because you leave outside of Portland 20 minutes and you're in white supremacist country. So it's like it's got like a really it is a really interesting place. And you see that in a lot of big cities, but it's shocking that like, so close outside of Portland, the type of people that you're interacting with. And Portland is such a bubble. Um, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm working my way back to your music here, but I want to put another branch on this tree we're building here. Your mother, stop me if I say something wrong here, if I get anything incorrect, but she is Black, born in Germany,
Mhm.
adopted by a white family here in the United States,
Yeah.
is queer,
Mhm.
and which is not always easy to be in America, but the trifecta of Black, immigrant, and queer, that is pretty difficult. Put on top of that, plagued with mental illness
Yeah.
for most of her life, and I've read that you said it's become so caustic that you had to extricate yourself from it. It was
Yeah.
too difficult to be around, just to survive. Do I have mostly that right?
You sure do. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. My question for you is, how does that impact the music that you make? Because I was looking at some of the lyrics of some of your songs on the first EP that you put out, the first half of this album, like in Honey.
Mhm.
Um, and if I can quote them real quick, I'm caught in between and I've tried everything. Don't want to stay, but I can't leave. Saw your light in the dark, tried to mend every scar, but I can't fix her, can't change who you are. That those kinds of words to me speak to people that children that have grown up in the household of um, any brand of mental illness or alcohol abuse or any sort of abuse. Um, and I'm not placing all of that at your mother's feet, but these lyrics certainly seem to me like you're trying to tell that story in some fashion through your music.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I mean, I would say a big majority of this record is about my mom and my relationship with my mom and losing my mom in so many different levels, losing her, mentally, seeing her decline, and also losing her in my life. It's no longer safe for me to be in communication with her, physical safety and emotional safety. And so yeah, I mean this record is my letter to her in a lot of ways. And going back to the protests, and there is definitely another level of meaning for me. Obviously, my mom is a Black woman. I'm mixed. I'm very light skinned. I don't know if people will see this interview, but I don't look like I'm mixed, but I am. But my mom is a Black woman, and I see her every day. Just in the mental illness that she does have now. Just if she had access to resources and support in the same way that white folks did when she was growing up, just where she would be now. I think about that a lot. And so a lot of my work in, just creating this record was, a lot of my own processing, but I have found that even just talking about these issues is just creating dialogue. And I think that that's a big part of how we move forward is, having this dialogue about these issues. And also, a lot of the work that I've done around the album is trying to work with amazing organizations who are doing the work to uplift, mental health for BIPOC folks, resources for BIPOC folks, food access for BIPOC folks. You know, a great organization I've been working with is Backline. They specifically work with musicians. They have a branch, the Black Mental Health Alliance, that they work with, who work specifically with BIPOC folks and partnering BIPOC folks with BIPOC therapists, and they do a whole slew of things. So yeah, that is a winded way of saying yes, this impacts my music incredibly. It's I always am like I want to write a happy song, and then I end up writing
Well,
about
that,
this.
that's the thing too, is that I was going to say we're talking about all this heavy shit,
Yeah.
but like that song "Honey" is actually fun. I mean, it's there's joy in it, and it's something that's very light and enjoyable to listen to. There's that dichotomy because you know, a lot of your music has some joy in it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's my favorite type of music, right? I mean, I've also have some heavy songs on the record that musically match that, but I do like writing about stuff that's really meaningful and also making you bop your head a little bit. So there's a little head bop going, and then you listen to the lyrics and you're like, "Oh, oh, this has layers. This has meaning to it." And that's my favorite type of music to write. Yeah, so Honey is that way, and there's a really fun music video that goes to it, and that song is fully about my mom. And the when you have a tendency, when it's somebody so close to you, all you want to do is love them and care for them and bathe them in honey, whatever that warm love is, especially with a mother figure. And just that record is that battle of I know that to keep myself safe, I can't I can't do that. And I'm sure all sorts of people experience that. So
You are a guitar player.
I am.
Tell me about your first guitar.
Oh my gosh. My first guitar was a little travel Martin. I started playing when I was 16, and all the other guitars were just too big for me. So
That little one, that one that's shaped like a piece of pizza, kind of
no, they're shaped
the
like regular
traveler.
guitars. They're
Oh,
just
like a parlor, a smaller parlor guitar. Gotcha. Okay.
small, but they still sound good.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
and or no, it was a baby Taylor. Sorry,
Baby
I also
Taylor. Yeah.
baby Martin. Also, I have a
Yeah.
baby
For anybody listening, by the way, best $400 you'll spend. Go out and buy one of those little Taylor.
Martin.
Uh,
They really sound good.
yeah, they sound really good.
For being as small as they are and as cheap as they are, I recommend that to all my voice and guitar students for their first.
Yeah, if you see a singer-songwriter traveling on a plane, and they've taken a guitar with them, it's one of those, because you can take them into radio stations and you can play, and they sound great.
Totally. It's
Yeah.
so
So it was one of those.
yes.
You still have it?
I sold it actually and bought a nice Martin. That's a
Daddy Martin.
yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Good for you. If you weren't making music right now, what do you think you would be doing for a vocation?
I don't know, is gardening I love to cook. I love to feed people. I'm also half Italian, so my dad's an Italian immigrant and my whole family's there. So I love to cook, I love to feed people, and I love to garden. So I don't know if I could, I'd maybe have like a farm to table, a little restaurant or something like that, where I grew all the food and then fed it to people.
Nice. I love it.
Yeah.
The name Moorea or Moorea.
Yeah.
Uh, I went to French Polynesia on my honeymoon. I saw the biggest spider I've ever seen, a huntsman spider, like
Yeah,
12 inches.
I've heard.
I could show you a picture. It would keep you up at night.
I want to see
Yeah,
it.
it's crazy. But an amazing place. Have you been? What's the heritage of your name?
Yeah, my parents met there. They both worked on a cruise ship for a little while, and they were working, and they met on the island of Moorea.
Nice.
And and so yeah, my there's like a little joke, a really cheesy joke in my family where my grandma was asking them like, "What was your favorite island?" And they were saying Moorea. And my grandma always, and then they named me that. And then my grandma always said, "Well, glad you didn't, your favorite wasn't Bora Bora." That's
Yeah.
the joke. It would have been named Bora Bora. But yeah, anyway, that's what my parents named me after. It's kind of a cute romantic story.
You dodged a bullet there. It could have been many, many
I did.
less less attractive things. That's right. Well, gosh, it's been great to talk to you. And once again, I want to make sure that people know about your show. It's coming up on May 15th at the B of A Performing Arts Center in Thousand Oaks. The EPs Heart in the Wild Side A and Side B are
Yep.
out now together. They make the Heart in the Wild album, and I certainly wish all the best to you. I hope that that your journey is an enjoyable and exciting one.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate talking to
All
you.
right, bye bye. This is Here at Home with Moorea Masa on 88.5 FM. Take care.
88.5 FM, KCSN, and KCSN HD1 Northridge, Los Angeles. KSBR and KSBR HD1 Mission Viejo. A service of California State University Northridge and Saddleback College. Member-supported public radio. Streaming on the web at 885fm.org.